Hi everyone, just me, Louise here from the editing world of the future. Just a few things I wanted to say. I wanted to say the lighting in this video is not that good. Sorry for that. It gets better by the second half. The sound is actually okay, but I kind of accidentally hit the microphone a couple of times, and I'll get better. I promise. I'll work on that for next time. I also say anywho a lot, and I apologize. But anywho, it's a long episode. I hope you will get settled in with your knitting, something to drink, and enjoy. I like the long episodes. I'll watch it all the way through, but otherwise just do what you want and cut me up in pieces. So here you go. Have fun. Enjoy. Thank you. Hey everyone, and welcome to Knit with Lavagard. I am Louise, and I'm coming from Denmark to you with a knitting podcast that's usually in Danish, but as a new feature, no, it's not a new feature, but to try something new, I am doing this podcast in English. So I hope that returning viewers, Danish viewers, will still want to watch, and I won't alienate them by speaking to you in English today. The fact is that if you are a returning viewer, you would know I have just spent my holidays in the US. Staying with family, with my sister and brother-in-law in Minnesota for like 3.5 weeks, and have just gotten home. I'm very jet-lagged and have been so used to speaking in English, so I am just gonna keep that up for today. So today, at least, coming to you in English from Denmark. I live in the capital region of Denmark, but in the northern part of Zealand, and I knit a lot. So hopefully you will want to join me in this regular knitting podcast, just me going through my finished and current projects and what I am about to embark on. So I hope so much that you will enjoy this episode, and that even Danish viewers will want to stay tuned. It's not that I will be necessarily podcasting in English from now on. I might be. I thought it would be fun. It's a new challenge, and let's see how it goes. Please give me a comment if I'm not clear about something, if you want to ask me about something. Please like and subscribe if you want to, or yeah, you can ask me anything. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of things. I have just returned, as I said, from a vacation over the holidays. We spent Christmas and New Year's in Minnesota and St. Paul with my husband's brother and his family, and had a wonderful time. very relaxed. It's great. But the jet lag is hitting me like a ton of bricks. The kids are off to school today for the second day in a row. Yeah, this is no. Okay. So we thought it would be a good idea to have some days off after we got home, so the kids especially would have some time to get back into our regular time zones. That has turned out to not be a good idea because they just stayed on US time. And we have been awake most of the night for the past 2 nights, which does not help with the jet lag. So I might be a bit rambly, so I apologize for that in advance. I am also very closer to you than I normally am, and that's just because the weather is so unpredictable right now. Then it's sunny, then it's like pouring rain, and yeah. I had to turn this way so I wouldn't get the sun in my eyes, but hopefully there's not too much glare. So with all that, should we just get going anyway? So I have made a lot of purchases, but hey, holidays, and it was a special budget. One of the purchases I did make was a new microphone, so I'm hoping the sound will be better in this episode. It's a cheap one, so it might not do any good at all, but here's hoping. So it's stuck to my potaware, which is my Copenhagen cardigan from Petiteknit that I finished in December. Yes, November. It was knit in the round and steeked, and yeah, I quite like it actually. I've used it a lot. It is, even though I wasn't too keen on the yarn choice, it has turned out to be a real classic cardigan. So sorry, it does have its uses, and I've worn it a lot actually. So I'm wearing it again today, but I will say right now the sun is somewhat out and I am hot, so I might not be wearing it for the entire episode. Anyways, that was what I was wearing. And I thought I had something else to say, but I can't remember. I am telling you guys, the jet lag. Okay, so let's just cut to it and look at what I finished since last time. So the first thing I finished was my Christmas sweater. So here it is, guys. The main part of this sweater is the yoke. Let me try to show you. It is this Badger in Bloom sweater by Ann Wenzel. And it is my own hand-dyed yarn in the colorway poinsettia. Just to those of you who might not know, I don't sell yarn. I just do it as a hobby. But this one turned out really well. I'm so happy with the results in the sweater. I did make some changes to it. It's knitted in Drops Lima as the main color, and I dyed like a Highland wool. It's a DK weight, and it's knitted on 4.5 needles, I would say. I think it's 5.5 needles, and that's millimeters. I don't know what that is in US sizes. If I continue to podcast in English, I will be better at remembering the needle sizes in US sizes as well, I promise. But right now it was a spur of the moment thing, and I might not be totally up to date when it comes to English knitting terms. But anyways, guys, I really love this sweater. I have worn it a lot already. Even though Minnesota was so cold, we had 2 snowstorms while we were there. The cold is just so different from here. So we had at one point, and again, this is in Celsius, we had like minus 26 degrees Celsius with a wind chill factor of like minus 34. That was cold, of course that was cold, but even during that, I went out in this sweater and a like plaid jacket and a scarf, a small scarf, and my hat and fingerless gloves, and I was fine as long as I wasn't out for a long time, and you aren't. You just walk from your car to the store, and that's about it. But here, yesterday, was plus 6 degrees Celsius, and I was wearing this sweater and the same jacket and shoes, and I was freezing my ass off. It was so cold, because it's like, it's the humidity. It's just different. So anyways, long story short, I have worn it a lot, and you can see that it has started peeling. And that is, it's a soft yarn. It's not an expensive yarn. It's drops. So I'm not surprised. It's okay. I'll depeel it, and it is what it is. Anyways, I have made other patterns by Ann Wenzel before. The slanting slip over, I think it's called. I've done the cocoon cardi. I don't know if I made a sweater. I don't really remember. Anyways, what I know from her designs is her yokes are always very deep. So I find I get a lot of fabric under the arms. And so I did do one less row of the pattern for the yoke, and started split for sleeves earlier than in the pattern, just so I wouldn't feel too oversized. I also knitted the sweater because I did not hit gauge at all, which I never do, so that's just how it is. I did not swatch either. So, but I knew that, and I knit a size that I knew would fit quite snug. So it's not like it's close fitting, but it's almost close fitting when I wear it, because I didn't want an oversized sweater. I wanted something that would like be fitted. So this is a fitted sweater. I also changed the neckline. I think in the pattern it's like lower, and I wanted it to be snug, so I did longer neckline, so it's not folded, it's not a roll neck or anything, but it cuts me right here and warms my neck, which I want from a warm sweater. So I am happy about this one. It worked out really well, and I'm happy with the changes I made. So hey, that's always good. I did have a lot of yarn left over. If you have seen the podcast before, you know that this yarn was bought for another design. I was supposed to do 50 Fabulous's Pia's Jericho's Rose sweater, which is knitted with your yarn calendar, Christmas advent calendars, that's what it's called in English, 24 mini skeins going up, and I chose not to do that. And maybe that's why I had a lot of the yarn left, maybe not, I don't know. Anywho, I decided to, instead of just putting the yarn back in my stash right away, I would do something with it. And I was anyways doing a lot of accessories at that time, so I decided to do some for myself. So I knitted these penny gloves by Petiteknit. I'll say that again, that was penny gloves by Petiteknit. Again, did not hit gauges at all, just knitted so I knew and tried them on. So I did the main glove in the main yarn, and then did only the bind off and cast on in the color yarn. I've worn these every single day while on holiday, so it was a good thing that I made them. I never make them as long as she suggests in the pattern. I don't see any reason for that, but I might have made them a bit longer in the fingers, I will say. And also I made this. This is a basset hat by, oh my god, I don't remember. I'll put it below as always. I just thought it would be so fun to have this kind of hat, me going to America and all, and for Christmas, because I thought it was like a classic Christmas hat. I will say again, I wore this hat every single day. I have a bun, so this is gonna look awful, but I just wore it like this, not tied, but when it was really cold and if it was windy, I did close it a little bit, but again, you're not outside that much, so it wasn't necessary. For this one, I did add a strand. I added a strand of mohair, or I actually think it's brushed silk alpaca. Yeah, it is. So I had that in stash as well. I added a white, off-white one to go with the gray, and actually had both a green and a red one, like a small amount left in stash. So there's both green, I don't know if you can tell, but here the brushed silk alpaca is green and here's the red. So just to go with the colorway in the yarn that I dyed, I'm really happy with it. I knit this hat in like 2 evenings. It was so easy. I would definitely make another one. My husband actually asked me to knit him in one, and he never wants anything knitted. So yeah, I love it. I used it a lot, and now it's like a set. So this is gonna be packed away, and I can get it out for next Christmas, and I'll have a Christmas sweater, hat, and gloves. What's not to love? So that was all done by the time we left for Minnesota. We left on the 16th, 15th or 16th of December, and I had planned to bring my Mega Diamond cardigan from Camijoknit with me to knit on. That was supposed to be my holiday project. However, I passed on a couple of days before we left, and I could very quickly see that that would just be too complicated to bring, because like a house full of kids, a new baby, family, friends, guests, a lot of guests, and a lot of other stuff to do. I would just be interrupted all the time, and that, for me at least, doesn't work with me knitting a pattern like the Mega Diamond cardigan. So this was like the evening before we left, decided I had to do something else, bring something else with me that was very straightforward and easy and wouldn't take up too much thought process. I went back and forth with this and ended up deciding on going with Anker's blouse from Petiteknit again, because another Danish podcaster, Hverdagsro, has knitted a couple of them, and she always comments that it's a very straightforward pattern, and that it's very well fitted. So I decided to go with that, and then find some yarn I had in stash. I tried a couple of different yarns that just didn't work out, and ended up knitting in my Drops Air leftovers, which was good because that was kind of one of the things I wanted to do in 2022, was get rid of my stash of Drops Air. So killing two birds with one stone, I decided to cast on Anker's blouse from Petiteknit in Drops Air. I don't know if this will fit in here, but as you can see, the yoke is this ribbed round yoke, and I did a fade from the white into this light brown into the gray. I don't know how well executed it is. I think the white into the brown went very well, and I just don't know how I feel about the light brown into the gray. Maybe because these are like a very warm color, but the gray's a more cold color, so the tones of them just don't go as well. I don't know. However, I did run out of yarn and ended up doing like a 3/4 of length sleeve, and just did I don't know what that binder is called in English. In Danish it's sådan en rullekant, roll cant. It's a rounded edge. It's just where you knit one purl stitches and then bind off. That's what I did, because I didn't have any more yarn, or the yarn I had left in Drops Air was a lot darker, and I didn't want to go there. So it hasn't been washed and blocked. I don't even know if I'll do that because it's Drops Air, and I'll just, yeah, it's way more squishy right now. Let's just say that. However, I think I will get use out of this, especially because it's with the short sleeve, it won't get too hot, and I can definitely wear it to the office. So that ended up being my holiday project, just so I had something to knit on while there. And yeah, it turned out okay. Let's see how much use I get out of it. The last thing I finished since last time is a pair of socks that I don't have with me because they were gifted for Christmas to my brother-in-law. It's a pair of socks. again, I knitted along with Camijoknit, her Christmas vlog. This year she did socks in her own yarn, which was a fade, and the same fade that I used for the anchors blouse were in the socks. I did follow her. She gave like clues in her vlog so you could follow along, and that's what I did. I knitted them in advent calendar from Strich, which is the Danish yarn dyer who had an advent calendar this year, or last year, 2022, which was inspired by Star Wars, and my brother-in-law is a huge Star Wars fan, so that kind of makes sense that he should have those socks. It was difficult figuring out what size to knit them when I didn't have him close and I haven't like measured his feet or anything, but they ended up fitting really well and he loved them and he wants more, so can't be too bad. And now I know which size to knit for him and what fit he has, because I just assumed that his feet were a lot like my husband's, but when I asked my husband, he was like, no, his feet are totally different. They're long and slender. So I had to text my sister-in-law and say, okay, so Christian, my husband, says his feet are long and slender, and she was just on the floor laughing. She didn't know where he had gotten that from. So their feet are actually very much the same. However, my brother-in-law's feet are longer, bigger. He has bigger feet. That was about it for finished projects. As I just explained, was away for the holidays. We did not have the knitting time that I usually do on a holiday, so that was what I got done. I brought my socks that I wanted for the plain. Candy cane socks, I think they're called, and I ended up pulling back, what's it called, unraveling them 3 times, because it is a 2-stranded sock and I am not that great at knitting with like color. I'm looking for the word, I can't find it. Yeah, you know, when you knit with more than one color at a time, I am new at that, and the socks just kept being too tight. I started knitting a pair for myself. They were way too tight. I just decided I would do them for my daughter instead, but still, it just didn't work. I unraveled like 3 times and just decided it wasn't going to work. I didn't even have that much time on the plane to knit. Not that it wasn't a long trip, because it is, but my kids were awake for the most of the plane ride, if not all of it. So my youngest daughter, she's 3 and she's very active, and let's just say I had my job cut out for me just taking care of her on the plane there. So I did not have a lot of knitting time anyways, and yeah, I just ended up unraveling those socks when I got to my brother and sister-in-law's house. So they were scrapped, and yeah, that's just how it goes. So no Christmas socks this year for myself, but I'll definitely pick up that pattern when I am more like proficient in more than one color knitting. I have to figure out what that word is. I will find out. Good. Anyhow, I think that's it for the finished projects. So, oh my God, you guys, the sun right now is crazy. it has been great for the last 3 days, and of course now the sun comes out. Okay. So, however, let's get into our current projects. What do I have on my needles? And because I knew I would need to have another but air ride project, I went looking for a sock yarn and found this. It's 100% acrylic yarn, so not something I would normally buy, but that's just how it ended up. I wanted an American sock yarn, and just bought this at a desperate time and cast on a sock. This is just a vanilla sock for me. It turned out this is a DK weight, but I think it's a very thin DK weight. It's so stretchy. Anywho, I only bought one skein, so I was kind of afraid I wouldn't have enough yarn, so I decided to do some shorties, and this is a heel flap. This is a heel flap, and just working from the cuff down. Again, this is a self-striping sock yarn. I didn't save the ball band, so I don't know what color or anything, but I bought them at Hobby Lobby. But I cast on these so I would have something to knit on the plane, but again, I did no knitting on my way home, let's just say that. But however, the kids did sleep some of the time, so wasn't that bad. But that's like project number one. Some plain vanilla socks of my own. This is just, I have no pattern for it because it's just how I know I like my socks to fit. So I like the heel flap, and yeah, the stitches were harder to figure out because the yarn is thicker, but I tried it on and this works. So, okay, other projects. I did start 2 projects right before leaving for the holidays. One I spoke of was the sorry, I have it in my bags here, my project bags. The Mega Diamond Cardigan by Camijoknit, and I know this is very hard to see, especially in this light. Again, I wanted to knit this cardigan for as long as she's been telling and showing the design on her own podcast. And she podcasts in English, so you should go check that out. It's worked in mega mohair, so I really wanted to try that, and I ended up dyeing my own mega mohair, which is this like purpley, I call it burgundy. I think it looks just like wine because it's like has these really deep tones, but still it's like plum and then straight up purple other places. I like it, and I'm really excited to see how it knits up. I'm not too keen on the strand holding the mohair together. That didn't dye up as like at all. And I didn't get that far because like I told you before, I just cast this on because I thought it would be my holiday project, and ended up not having it as my holiday project. So I didn't get that far. This is what I've knit so far, and I think it's okay with the strand holding the mohair together. It isn't that bad when it knits up. It does shed a lot. No, maybe not a lot, but this is something I can only knit on when I am sitting somewhere that doesn't collect fibers. And I'm not wearing something that collects fibers, because otherwise I'll just be burgundy all over. So yeah, didn't get that far. I am working on 8mm needles. That's European size. Let's see if maybe we are lucky enough that the needles, yeah, that's the US 11. And these are my CNET needles. So yeah, not much to show, but I am just getting started on the lace work. It's all over lace work, and yeah, let's see how it goes. But it's back and forth, and I think you just attach the sleeves, so it's very straightforward. And yeah, more on that next time. Just have to put this away again. Sorry for the noise. The second project that I just cast on before leaving for Minnesota, and not really getting anywhere with, because I packed everything the evening before we had to leave. Everything was packed, and I realized, I just realized I had nothing to knit on. Like, how am I gonna spend an entire evening at home not being able to knit anything because everything's packed? So stupid. So I had to do something. So I cast this on. And if you are a regular viewer of the program, you would know that this has been a long time coming. Not exactly this pattern, but this yarn has been intended for like several sweaters. I changed my mind. I changed my mind. Originally, it was bought for my Christmas sweater last year, but I had a lot left. It's the I think it's called. Let's just see. Excuse me. I'll see if I can find Flora. Drops Flora. I had a lot of green Drops Flora, and I wanted to do something with all my leftovers. I decided to do a spot sweater by Ann Menzel. That did not go well. Unraveled that. Decided to do, I don't even remember. I think I wanted to do like a festival sweater by Petiteknit. That was one of the things I didn't cast that on, but a lot of different sweaters were just like running through my head, and I couldn't like figure out which one to do. And then my second strand is this BC Yarns Bio Balance, it's called. It's a blend of different fibers. It's like linen, orange, cotton. Again, excuse me, I'll see if I can find one with the band on. This is so not professional podcasting. Yeah, here you go. 55% wool, 45% cotton. So it's a cotton wool blend. But I love the sort of tweedy, mauled colorway. So this was going to be like my main strand color, and then the leftover greens were going to be the spots in the spot sweater. So I had to find something that would fit the yarn, both in thickness, because this is like a fingering kind of weight. It's 225 per 50 grams, so it's almost a light fingering. And I had to figure out a pattern that worked with that, and I couldn't. So one of the things I always wanted was to knit from a cone. Ended up getting a cone. I live close to a yarn, it's not a store, but it's called Garnspecialisten, and they sell excess yarns from the textile industry. So they have cones, and I always wanted to knit from a cone. This is Bubble Fluffy Alpaca, which is 36% alpaca, 40% merino, 40% acrylics, and 10% polyamide. So more of like, I like knitting from straight up wool. This has a lot of acrylic and polyamide in it, so normally I would like not use it, but I had to figure something out. And then I thought this would work perfectly both in color and thickness to make up the Marseille sweater by Petiteknit. Oh, again, I am rambly today. I'm so sorry. Anyways, so I cast that on. I have been knitting on it since we got back. I just dropped a stitch. Oh my God. Yeah, figure that out later. Didn't even, no, don't have any stitch markers. Oh. Okay. Anywho, it's so soft, the fabric this makes. Really, really lovely, thick, fluffy, but again, with the cotton and the acrylics, it's not going to be too hot. I think it looks huge. I am knitting the 4th size, but Petiteknit is also always very oversized. This has like a different construction than where it's what's that called? Timber cast on. So like this is going to be removed at some point, and you knit the other way, and you knit the neckline. So these are actually the shoulders out here. This is so hard to show. But anywho, I'm quite happy with the fabric this makes. The color is great. The fabric it makes great. Everything was just great. And I just reached the point where I am supposed to knit my first stripe, the Marseille sweater. Let's see if I can put in a picture of it. The Marseille sweater has these 3 stripes, and I was going to do 1 stripe in each of my green colors with the flora, which is like a alpaca yarn. So I tried doing it with 3 strands of the drops flora, and there's just not enough fluff in that. It looks weird because the cone yarn is so fluffy. So I had to order some mohair in a green colorway. So this story is never ending with that sweater. But yeah, it's not like I put it away. It's just resting until the mohair gets here. So yeah, let's see you guys. That was the second one, or third one. I have only one more project that I'm working on currently, and that's another pair of socks. So if you are a Danish knitter, you know this. Lone, a lonely sock lady, she is an indie hand dyer or yarn dyer, and she dyes self-striping yarns. They are incredible. I have never worked with them before this, but I have always wanted to. Lone has challenged all knitters in 2023 to do 12 pairs of socks, so 1 for each month in her yarn. So like rules and stipulations are all on Lone's Instagram, a lonely sock lady. I am not one to back down from a challenge, so of course I am going to pick up the baton And I, while still in Minnesota, bought a skein of Loonis yarn so that it was lying on my front steps when I got home, so I could cast on straight away. You have to cast on each month after the first and be done before the month is out. You have to post a picture of Instagram on the day you cast on and the day you cast off. And I am knitting away. This is, since I got home, well, my headspace is not even that good, so I have not been knitting on much else than these socks. And I finished my first sock, and I finished my second sock. This pattern is new to me because I have never knitted with Loonis yarn before, and it is self-striping. I didn't know how many stripes I would need for my foot length or cuff either. So I really wanted to do a toe-up sock, which I have never done before, just to make sure that I would have enough yarn and to know when to like cut the yarn. So I had to do that. I found a pattern from the Knitmatician. Just a moment, I have it somewhere. No, of course I didn't write it down. I think it's the Knitmatician toe ups, it's called. So you just cast on, on 2 needles, do the figure eights. I did 12 stitches and did the toe. The thing is with this pattern is you have to do the math yourself. He just sort of gives you a guide of how to calculate how many stitches you will need to cast on, to knit before you start the gusset, how many what's that called? Increases. How many increases you need to do in the gusset, and again, this is, I've never seen a toe up heel flap pattern before it, but that's why I got it, because I still wanted to do the heel flap, and it actually turned out really well. One of the socks I made a mistake, and again, if you are a regular viewer of mine, you will know I am a very lazy knitter, and I will not unravel if I can help it. So I did make a mistake, and the heel flap is like 2 stitches off, so there's like some holes here because I had to do some extra decreases. However, these socks fit better than any socks I have ever knitted. So definitely not the last time I am going to knit from this pattern and in Loonis wonderful yarn. The reason why this is still a current project is because I'm not happy with the bind off. I did like a super loose bind off because I didn't want it to get too tight when it is a toe up. That's kind of my worry, that it would be too tight and I wouldn't be able to fit my ankle through. So I did it super loosely, but now it's just like, it's too loose. It's like all over the place. So I'll unravel just the cuff part and do another one, which I already did on my second sock. I changed to a 1x1 rib instead, so I could do an Italian bind off. God, my words. So I could do an Italian bind off instead, which is still loose enough to get my foot through, but not quite as wavy. Yeah, and then I haven't, sewn in my ends. So that's still to do. I've knitted on my new Gu needles. I just bought these in November, and I love them. Greatest socks needles ever. So this colorway, I don't even remember what it's called. It is Underwater Gold Mine. You can tell, right? And when you buy these sock sets, you get both the yarn itself and the contrasting yarn together. And I just used that. And I have 5-6 grams left of each colorway. And then you always get like a sample of another color when you buy from Lune. How beautiful is that? Isn't it great? I love it. Well, so yes, current whip, but almost done. I just need to redo this cuff. And then I'll post it as a finished project on my Instagram, which is also Knit with Lovergard, by the way. And then hopefully I'll be able to go through to next month, because it is Lone who is like the judge. She gets to decide if you can carry on until next month. If you do, if you knit all 12 socks, Lone will dye up a special colorway, a skein for everyone who participated and knit all 12 socks. And I want that skein. So yeah, I'm hoping it'll be okay. This time I did the new pattern, the toe ups. I will definitely try that again, so that I can fix the things that went wrong. But I will be doing other patterns as well, because that's also what she's like suggesting people to do, so they can inspire each other to which patterns work for her self-striping socks, which are beautiful. She also released 2 yarn clubs this Sunday. They go very quickly, so if you want some yarn from Lune, you have to go fast. Of course, I have purchased some. It's not here yet, but just because I need to be ready for February socks. So yeah, that was it for the current projects, people. So let's move on to future projects. You already heard most of these, because of course I am going to be doing more striped socks by Lune, and I am going to be knitting a porcelain sweater by Line Holm Samsø, which is a sweater where it looks like a porcelain pattern almost. And as soon as I saw that one, I wanted to knit it. I have purchased the yarn, it's not here yet, and I will cast that on as soon as I think I might. This time I might actually finish one of my whips before I cast that on, because otherwise it'll just be too much, I think. So yeah, that's definitely going on my needle soon. And then I want to knit a shawl. And the reason I want to knit a shawl, and this is moving a bit into purchases, is because I bought some yarn on my trip, and I think it speaks to being a shawl. So I really wanted like an asymmetrical shawl, and I have spent some time on Ravelry trying to figure out what to do. I have several ideas for them. I was thinking maybe Birds of a Feather by Andrea Mowry. I really like that, but I don't want the mohair, and I don't know if it will work up into different strands of merino, which is what I was thinking. Or I found one which is called Match and Move, I think. I think maybe she's German, the designer. She's called Strich Mich, which I think means knit me, if I'm not mistaken, in German. And I'll try to put a photo in for you guys. I like that one. Again, that might work better with the two merino colorways. And the last one I was thinking about was the Drifter by Narrow Path Designs, which is quite similar to the Match and Move one. So I think I'm leaning more towards one of those. But again, I don't know when that will be in the works. Let's see. And I might change my mind, because you know I do. I have also, for this yarn, been thinking about doing a cactus sweater instead. It's by Camijoknit, and there's a Danish podcaster called Petiteknit who was talking about maybe doing a knit along with that sweater, and maybe I'll go that way instead. So who knows? I changed my mind 1,000 times. So nothing's etched in stone, let's just say that. Otherwise, projects I am thinking about doing are more along the lines of, again, a knit along. I know there are some coming. Someone spoke about doing slaskewerk from which is like not a pattern but like a guide to doing a sweater, which would be kind of fun, because then I can really make it my own, and doing a knit along with that would be fun. That's from Marlene from It's Yarn, which is also an indie yarn dyer from Denmark, and a knitwear designer. And I haven't knit anything from her before, but yeah, that could be kind of fun. And also another couple of Danish podcasters, which is Dorte from Lige en Omgang Mere, and Henriette, she's from, what's it called? Strikker Sludder. Yeah, it's Danish podcasters. They last year did a knit along, which is called Top Beredt, which really just means that you should be ready for summer. So they knit like summer tees and tops in the spring, winter, spring, so that you're already prepared with a finished summer project by the time summer comes. So you're not always just knitting your summer projects in summer and then never getting to wear them. I did it last year, it was really fun, and I want to do that again. I have a lot of summer yarns in stash I could use. I have some silk, which I wanted to use to make some underwear. That's been on my list for a while. From Naked Knit, they do these very customized bras, tops. I want to do one of those. So that's also running through my head. And that was basically it for future projects. So I can tell my headspace is just not where it normally is. I just I'm a bit more low key. I don't want as many projects on my needles at a time. It's not that I'm not feeling inspired. I just don't take it in right now. All the inspiration I don't feel like I can really cope right now with any more news. So right now I'm just trying to enjoy and take my time with the projects I have on my needles and what I already know I want to make, and be mindful of what I'm knitting right now. So that's what I'm trying to do. I did make a lot of purchases, especially going to the States. I wanted to try some yarns from there, and this is a separate holiday budget, so please don't blame me for spending too much money. But if you are not into purchases, then thank you for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I really hope you'll come back. If you do like your purchases, stay tuned, because here they come. This is, of course, only yarn related purchases, but there are a few, so hang in there. I knew the sun is coming around now. Okay. I knew well in advance that we would not have the time to go to like a local yarn store while in Minnesota, because my mother-in-law knits. She would like to go, but no one else does, and we're not gonna spend everybody's time when we have so limited a time together by dragging them to somewhere they don't want to go. So I knew I would not have the time to go to a local yarn store. I would have the time to go to one of the bigger craft stores, but my mother-in-law and I, reached out to a local indie yarn dyer, hand dyer in St. Paul in advance, like before we left in December, to purchase some yarn from her and have it sent to my brother-in-law's house. And that would be like getting some local yarn, even though we didn't go into a store and purchase it that way. But I really wanted some yarn, hand-dyed yarn from the Twin Cities. So I found the Kinetic Knitter on Instagram, and I just loved her colorways. This is called Serendipitous. There it was. And has the most beautiful rose-colored yarn with these speckles of purple and plum and gold and some browns as well. It is beautiful. It's a single merino, soft single. It's called her base. And oh, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And I have been really drawn towards these single bases, even though I haven't really knit with them before. And these were the ones I was thinking about doing the shawl with, because I have heard that if you knit a garment in single ply, they have a tendency to drag to one side because they're not spun. They're only spun one way because they're single ply, so they have a tendency to twist. And if it's a shawl, I don't think that would matter that much. So yeah, I got these two skeins, and I have a single ply in stash that would go with this. So that was kind of what I was thinking. Also, I went to Hobby Lobby. The sock yarn I got, that was from Michael's. I think I might have purchased that in Michael's, but I did go to Hobby Lobby as well. I got this bag, all the feels it says, and then it has the scale of yarn weights from lace to jumbo. I thought that was quite fun, and I do love my project bags. I use these like shopper nets kind of things all the time, especially when I'm just like at home. So I was with my mother-in-law at Hobby Lobby. They had this stitch marker set. Sorry for the noise. Where it was like they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 progress keepers, 6 stitch markers, where it was like two of the same kind, where one was a progress keeper and one was a stitch marker, sort of, or an attachment. They had these tiny hooks. I don't know if you can see or if I can sit still enough, on one side, and these different kind of charms, and on the other side they had the rings for stitch markers. And I mostly wanted the stitch marker one, so my mother-in-law got most of the ones with the hook. So I got 2 of those. There's some measuring tape, and then there's a skein of yarn. There's a scissors one, and then there's just one that says made with love. So yeah, got these very pretty ones, very inexpensive. And then I got, let's see if I can get it out of the bag. I got 2 of this colorway. It's from Yarn Bee, and it says it is authentic hand dyed, and I would say, of course, it's hand dyed, but it is commercial hand dyed. It's called Sahara, and it is like this soft brown speckled, beautiful, 100% superwash merino, I would say. It's not that easy finding pure wool. So they had like a tiny shelf of this type of hand dyed. They had like 3, 4 maybe different bases, all with different colorways. They had some alpaca, which was so soft. But in the end, I went with the same base so that I have the option of putting them in one project, because I got this colorway as well, which is called Prairie Rain. It's the most beautiful blue, like petroleum blue, then goes into the brown golden colors, and I think they just go so well together. And again, this was also an option for the shawl. But I will definitely figure something out with this. This could also be beautiful for the cactus sweater by Camijoknit. I love them, and because they are like commercially hand dyed, if that's a thing, it's not that expensive. This is like $16, and you have to time it like 7 to get it in Danish krone. So that's like, it's like 100 krone, right around there. And that's very inexpensive if for hand dyed yarn anyways. But yeah, it is soft. It is 100% merino, but it is super washed, so I have to watch out for that. Again, that's why I was thinking a shawl, so it doesn't stretch too much, grow. But yeah, I had to get some yarn. So this is what I got. at Hobby Lobby. And then I got a bullet journal. I really wanted one. This is one of my New Year's resolutions, knitting wise, for 2023, is to be better at journaling my knitwear. So I got this journal. I got a lot of stickers and markers and pens, all kinds of stuff to like try to keep it fun, so I would stick with it because I really want to, but I am very bad at it. But here I have been trying to like figure it out. It's not a knitting bullet journal. It is a regular bullet journal that I'll just use for my knitting. So there's like, this is one for each day. There's a row. I'll write just something about the day in general. I write what I've been knitting on that particular day. This is where I'll list my current projects and purchases. And yeah, I haven't 100% yet figured out how I want to set it up, but so far so good. But we're still in January, so let's see how far I'll stick with it. But yeah, here's hoping. I at least bought so much stuff that I might feel guilty if I don't do it. So maybe that's enough to keep me on my toes journal wise. This was definitely one of the things that I had on my list that I really wanted to get, because I don't think we can really get that in Denmark like in the same way, because in America you see them everywhere. But yeah, I got that. And so that was about it from America, from my trip. And I was over there feeling like, okay, I saved a lot of money to get yarn, and I am not spending all my money. I'm allowed to buy some other stuff. And I bought the yarn for my self-striping socks while I was there, and I also also purchased a couple of yarn clubs. I bought this one, which is from Cleo Garn. She's doing like a Mystical Places yarn club for 2023. This is called Niflheim, which is like getting, there was a card, which is like a Viking, a Nordic mythology place. It says, I have to translate, so Niflheim is the fog, cold, and frost country under the world tree Yggdrasil's roots. It is one of the first places created and from the well Velgemir that's found here, all the rivers flow from. The cold fog from Niflheim combined with the warmth of the fire land Muspelheim created the world. Later, the goddess of death, Hel, rules Niflheim, and all the dead who don't die a heroic death on the battlefield but die of sickness or old age end up there. They are not allowed to share in the festivities of Valhall, but have to settle for an afterlife in the ice-cold darkness. Yep, so that's Niflheim. Oh, the sun just went away, so I don't know how much you can see. But it is gorgeous, blues in all kinds of tones. So gorgeous. Yeah, I love it. I love her yarns. I only got the January one. I don't know if I'll be able to get the February one because I also got this yarn club knit by Moltrup. She's like one of my favorite Danish indie dyers. She, for 2023, is doing a yarn club that's inspired by Game of Thrones. It's called Game of Yarns. And the first one for January is inspired by the Night King. And it's a sock set. And it is gorgeous as well. Again with the blues. It's almost like they could go together, right? I don't know if you can tell, but it's so gorgeous. My brother-in-law is a huge Game of Thrones fan as well as Star Wars fan, and he has already, like, he has his heart on a pair of Game of Thrones socks as well, so I'll have to do those for him at one point. But the idea is I really wanted a full yarn club, like all 12 months, and Knit by Moltrup this year, 2023, has done a subscription form for her yarn club, which is perfect. So I have subscribed to her yarn club. So it comes every month. You pay monthly, and yeah, I can't wait. So this is not going to be knitted up straight away because I want to sit with all 12 colorways at the end of the year. Yeah, I know, I'm strange. However, I don't know if I'll be able to not get more yarn clubs. I love them. Also by Cleo Garn, I got this. This was a prize because my Basset hat I made, I joined on a knit along and I won. Hey, I never win. So this was great. This is her Silla base, and I could choose the colorway myself. I chose this light gray one, which is called Pearl Fisherman. It is gorgeous, and it is 40% merino, 40% alpaca, 20% silk. So I don't know if I'll save this for a hat, because that would be like very on point, or because it's like a DK weight. It might go into some other project. It's really soft. It's gorgeous. I love it. So thank you very much for the prize. I did get other purchases. Some of them, okay, let's just say I went a bit crazy. Some of them have not gotten here yet. This has gotten here. This is going to make a little bit of noise. Just show you real quick. I just got some sock minis to color myself. And I got a new color called Apricot because I think I might want to do some like spring colors. Maybe even some Easter colors, or I don't know. Let's see what I feel inspired. Mostly I got these two things because I was gonna purchase something else and I didn't want to purchase, I wanted enough for the free delivery, yeah. So because I did the self-striping socks on my Xiaogu needles, and they fit so well, but I still feel like the fabric, I'll just get this out for just a moment. I still feel like even though these fit really well, the fabric, it's not loose. It's not loose at all, but I just think it could be a bit denser. Just so the wear and tear won't show as much on these. And I think if I just went down, not even half a needle size, but a quarter of a needle size, because this is on 2.5. So if I go down to like a 2.2 2.5, I think it will be perfect. I might have to cast on some more stitches to get the fit right, but yeah, that was what I was thinking. And that's a US 0. No, 1, the 2.25. So I got that ChiaoGoo interchangeables, so a 2.25, a US 1, and these are a 4-inch length of the lace ones. I think that's perfect. I do magical loop for socks, for most anything. Maybe not. I think it's called like a wandering magical loop, something like that, where I don't knit on the 2 needles. I just change my, I only have like 4 stitches on my right needle, and then as many as that will fit on my left needle, and I knit those, and then again I just pick up 4 stitches on my right needle, and then I just go around. And these ChiaoGoo Twists Red Lace interchangeables are perfect for that because of the non-memory wire, because I do bend the wires a lot, and my C-knits, they just don't hold up. So yeah, but I got a size 1 and a size 0, but the size 0 is only 3-inch, but that's perfect for socks. But I found that if I go to the 2-inch, that's like tough on my hands. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to get. So I was sure to have them for February's self-striping socks, and then the other stuff was just for fun. But that was it. That's all I have to show anyways. So I did get other stuff, but it's not arrived yet. And I do think that it was plenty to show you. So if you are still watching, if you are still with me, my God, pat yourself on the back. Well done. That was quite a show. I enjoyed doing this in English. That was quite fun. I don't know if you did. Please let me know in the comments if you feel like this was the worst decision ever, but say it in a nice way. Or if you are a new viewer and you really like the English podcasting, tell me so. I don't know if this will be something I'll do in the future. Maybe I'll just mix it up and do whatever I feel like, because hey, it's my channel. But please let me know how you feel about it. Let me know if there are any questions about the garments I knitted or am knitting on. You can always write a question. I do try to answer as quickly as possible. And if you like this video, please give it a like. Please subscribe. And thank you for today. I'll go before the rain starts pelting down, because this is going to be, it's just getting darker and darker right now. So I'll end this one. Thank you guys so much. Have a happy new year. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.